start. Yeah, the convention contest started retroactive back on January the 1st. So any activity, any customers, they have all these new areas that you can earn points. And I think I'm reading it correctly where your level 2 and like your levels below you that sign preferred customers can count as points for you, which is huge. They didn't have that the last time.
We didn't do that last time? I thought it was. I thought it was like
your own preferred customers did, but like if Kay signs a preferred customer, you will get points for that customer and ambassador. Because it used to just be like Kay's ambassadors, you would get points.
Right.
But, so I think they're making it a little bit more of a fair playing field. And like the Black Tie Gala is lower points. Winter Dinner is just a little bit higher, but the fact that we already have 50 points if you registered for corporate Super Saturday, that's huge. That's big. I'm trying to see, is Stephanie, are you guys back on here?
Not yet.
No? Okay. I don't know if Lisa is either. I'll just tell them really quickly that they can log back on as me. I don't think it'll make a difference, maybe. For feedback.
Brooke, are you there?
I'm here.
You're so like still.
I'm
like
frozen.
Frozen.
Frozen. I promise I'm here.
If you like. Okay, perfect. So we will get started. I'll make one more minute for them to come back on. But we wanted to talk to you guys tonight about, it was really exciting to hear what Jennifer and Rosalind were saying about having a system. They were like, if you haven't thought of doing power hours, I'm like, hey, we got 21 of those scheduled this month. So we're ahead of the game. But just having a system for all of us, we know that everybody works a little bit differently, but having something streamlined to where you can literally just say, okay, what do I do? Of verbiage that I can use. We have kind of come up with a manual that is a working document. So I'll do a screen share tonight so you can take a look at what we're referring to. And when I say working document, like as we go through it, if there's anything that you guys can think of that would help make things easier, any suggestions that you have, anything that you want to tweak, we'll build it. I'm going to take notes tonight and then have the final product to you on Tuesday. So I'm excited about this because I think that, this is supposed to be fun work. It's supposed to be easy. And when you take the time frame out of like the time suck that it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I follow up? What do I say? It becomes a little bit easier of a process and it sets you up for success.
And duplication, and that's the key. I loved when Jennifer Leith, and I wrote this down yesterday, she said, we didn't invent the wheel, we're just riding on it.
I loved that one.
Love that. So it should not be that you are like freaking out. When you have 15 minutes, you should know exactly what you're going to do. And if somebody says, yeah, I want to try your products, it shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, what do I do? It's here's the part of the manual you go to and follow these steps,
Right. Exactly. So we wanted to start off this call. Ruth found this YouTube, and I think it resonated with her to share it with all of our team. It's Jim Carrey talking to Oprah, but let me see if I can screen share and start this right now. I'm going to try to mute you guys. Hold on just one second.
Junior.
Working? You guys see my
yes,
screen?
it works.
Okay, perfect. New computer, so thanks for your patience. Not want to. Okay, nope. What is this? Okay, here we go.
In life, everybody around you is a teacher.
We're not seeing it.
You're in a bad relationship.
You can't see it
right now.
No, we can just see your Zoom cloud sign in.
Have a better relationship.
Okay.
If you're in a
Can you
bad
hear it?
situation with your boss,
Yep.
that's
Okay.
a teaching situation for you to learn how to get yourself a better boss.
Sorry, guys. Hold on one second.
In all of the years of the Oprah Show, that Jim Carrey would be one of our greatest teachers.
Okay, let's try this. Sorry, this is very exciting for me. It's a new computer. Let's see. I wonder if so many of us are logged in. Let me try this.
When you hit screen share, then you have to double click on what you want them to see. Did you do that?
Yes. Is it funny that I have my merits as my sign in for Zoom? Don't tell anybody. Let's try this again. Thank you, guys. And Ruth, what'd you say? I have to double click it?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, you guys can see it?
Good. Back
Awesome.
it up. Do it. Oh, the sound isn't working. Can you hear me? Okay. There, it's getting there. We can't hear it, Nick.
You can hear it?
Nuh-uh.
It's on full blast. Okay. Is it silent?
I'm hearing bits and pieces, but it's like it's in a tunnel. It's really, really muffled and low.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know. Yeah, it's full blast over here. Should I just send the link below our recorded call?
You can. I can just kind of tell. I mean,
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Jim Carrey writing himself a check for $10 million and dating it for 3 or 5 years. I don't know which one it was, in the future, Thanksgiving, 3 or 5 years ahead of time. And in the memo, it says, for acting services rendered. And I've been a huge Jim Carrey fan forever. And I think he's amazing. And I loved hearing that story. And he said that the way that so basically the story is he wrote himself this check, he folded it up and he kept it in his pocket, in his wallet. And over the years, he said it disintegrated, it was getting frayed on the edges and stuff from being in his wallet. And that he actually on Thanksgiving Day was given the part in Dumb and Dumber for $10 million. That's what he was going to be paid. And Oprah is talking about in that little interview about how he was able to do that. And he talks about mindset and manifesting what he knows is already out there and already exists in the universe, and just not having his hands on it yet. And that he would go out to a field and he would say, I want to be an actor. Like, he had affirmations, and he'd say, I'm $10 million by, and he focused on that. And it worked. The universe worked to bring it to him because he was visualizing it and saying it. And he would say, I'd be driving home from his cater waiter job or whatever. And he was like, I knew that everything that I wanted was already out there. It already existed. I just had to bring it towards me and to get it for myself. And I just thought that was so powerful because, you guys, everything that we want in our lives, I mean, Plexus is our vehicle to help people, but to also achieve these big dreams. It's not about the money. It's about what this money is going to do and how it's going to work through us to better our lives and the people that we are in contact with. And so it's already out there. It already exists. That gives me so much comfort. I just have to focus on it and bring it toward me. So that's something else that we're going to talk about tonight, is really setting these visual goals and specific goals. That was something the girls talked about yesterday at Super Saturday, was being as specific as you possibly can, those SMART goals, setting it, then having your mindset, making it attainable, putting a timeline on it. That's so important. So that's what Jim Carrey did. And I love him even more from knowing that story. And anyway, I just think that was a really great way to kind of kick off 2018 for our team. This is going to be an incredible year for us. I feel like we've had all these puzzle pieces in varying places, and now we're pulling it all together. And that's really, really exciting for all of us to be a part of. So go ahead.
I know, I agree. I think that when Rosalind was starting to say, you guys should do this, this is exactly what this works. This is how this works. And I'm like, we do that. I'm like counting on my fingers, like how many things that we do on these systems we have in place. And it goes to show you that we're doing all of the right things. We just have to put more intention into the time that we're doing. Ruth and I had a call with Jen like 6 months ago even. And we said, okay, like we're doing all of these things and what else can we be doing? And Jen was silent for like 30 seconds. And then she said, wow, like you guys absolutely just blew me away. Like you cannot be doing anything else. Like there's literally nothing else that you can be doing that you're not doing already. And she has so much faith in our team and where we're going, and knows that we're going to be moving forward and growing in the right direction. And everybody has that potential. And that's what I liked. I wrote that down from what Jennifer Leith said yesterday. You're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. I mean, look at all of us. Like we are all supporting and cheering. And I mean, we're all here together and pushing each other. And so we have our own businesses, but we have all of us together to bounce ideas off of and lean on and just be real with. And I love that. So we'll touch a little bit on Super Saturday, and we'll hear from. I don't think Karen is on. Is Karen here? I don't see her. Karen is in Canada. She's our only Canadian ambassador. Or no, she's our second Canadian ambassador. She was in Canada. It's a really exciting time for them. They're launching all of these new things. So she was going to come on and pour some of her notes onto us, but I don't think she's on. So maybe I'll let Molly. Is Molly still here? Let me unmute Molly. Molly, what was it like being there live in Scottsdale?
It was awesome. It was my first time, so I didn't really have anything to compare it to. But just the energy in the room and just being there with everybody, it was really awesome. Jennifer and Rosalind were amazing. I want to be Jennifer's best friend. She was awesome.
Totally agree.
She's amazing. If you guys do not follow Jennifer on Facebook, write her name down. Follow her, Jennifer Booker Leith, Leath. You have got to follow her.
I did that in the parking lot yesterday before I drove away.
Yeah. And if you haven't watched her Diamond documentary, we use that a lot on the 7-day challenges that we do as an example for others to watch. But it's full of inspiration. Full. Were they before they went live? Were they announcing anything special, or was it basically kind of what we saw?
It was exactly what you saw. Yeah, they didn't do anything different in the room. Okay.
Well, I'm so glad that you got to experience that. And Molly's just committed to her first convention, so they must have
been excited.
Excited for you. And then we'll let the Kansas City girls go. I know that they had a huge watch party and after party, and then I'll let Ruth talk a little bit about the pilot, what they're doing for piloting for the company and the country for Plexus. So.
I actually want to let my team talk about this because I'm just so proud of my kind of, 4 core people that I have that are so committed to this business. And they have, it's just been amazing to see their growth and to see their commitment, and to have us all together yesterday it was amazing. So do one of you kind of want to talk about like what your biggest takeaway was during Super Saturday, and then I'll let one of you kind of take over the after party and the big Salvation Army initiative.
I have nothing to talk about with the Salvation Army thing because my anxiety was rising because the after party, it was kicking if you were not an introvert. And I mean, the three people who were there with me, like they could tell I had it. And so I had to leave before they started doing all the Salvation Army stuff. But I mean, watching Jennifer Leith for me, I mean, she, all of that very cliched, you're speaking right to me, all that Super Saturday kind of stuff that we were hearing. I mean, she hit on some things that I needed to hear. And I think almost all of us were just like, we really clued into what she was saying. I mean, and the 5 of us that were in that room together were all very chatty people and very sardonic and sarcastic and whatever. But when she was speaking, we were all silent and note-taking. And I think that speaks volumes as to what we were all taking away from that. But then I think one of the other 3 of you got to talk about what was going on over at Coaches, because I was just like, I can't handle it in here.
Was there anybody on the call tonight that was not at Super Saturday yesterday or watching it from somewhere?
I think all of us were.
Okay, so we don't want to just go over
Right.
this. We're not catching anybody up. That's
Yeah.
good.
I'll talk real quick about the after party. It was so much fun. I mean, there were a lot of people in a small space, so it was a little bit hard to hear, a little overwhelming. But the point of everything was what Kansas City is doing is super exciting because basically these girls are, and basically us as One Plexus KC is what we're called, I guess, are kind of pioneering a program of Pack the Lexuses. And so we're going to be packing Lexuses full of stuff to take to different community resources. So last night we all brought toiletries and feminine products to this event last night, and they filled some Lexuses full of stuff to take to the Salvation Army, to a homeless shelter for women and kids. So, and they're just in corporate's really excited about what One Plexus KC is doing, because it's the first anyone's done as a group to come together and support the community. So we're all super excited to be a part of that and feel like it's fun to be on kind of that pioneering, cutting edge side with this great group. And there's some really awesome leaders and sincerely great girls out there kind of leading the charge in KC, and we're excited to be a part of it. So I think I'm fired up about it. I think it'll be a lot of fun. We just need a bigger space for the after party. That's all there is to it. And
Yeah.
I think Kansas City is really, really coming on the grid because you guys are part of the Opportunity Meeting Tour, which is huge.
Yeah.
We were bummed to not see St. Louis on there. But, they picked Springfield, so I'm wondering if that's because it's like a middle part between Chicago and St. Louis. I'm not quite sure, but that was really exciting when I saw that for Kansas City. And I think that they said they're going to go to 40 cities, and I only saw like week 1, week 2. It was a small.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to announce more. So fingers crossed that there's going to be more that are really easily accessible to everybody. But that's really exciting for you guys.
We just want Tarl.
Yeah.
We want Tarl to come to our city. That's all we want.
You actually want Alec to come to your city.
You want Alec to come to
Well,
your
I want Tarl. Okay.
She's into Tarl.
Really? Wear those earrings, Sarah. I mean, and ask polite.
Bump your head around a little, and he'll just come call it.
And then Amanda, I see you on here. How was Chicago? Let me see if I can unmute her. There you go.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I was just Marty, Tara, and I. We got together, and we just chatted Plexus and watched, and it was good. It was nice because I don't really talk to anybody in person about Plexus ever, so it was cool. And there were no kids there. Sorry. No, it was awesome.
Good. I'm glad you guys got to get together. That made me really happy to see your picture.
Yes.
And
Yes.
does everybody, I mean, we have kind of a whole slew of notes from Super Saturday, but I know since we were all there, I know the big thing was the incentives, which were 50 convention credit contests, 50% off registration, and then 2 free enrollments, which is huge. And those should come over in an email if you guys don't have the codes yet for those to give to your people. That should come over in email. But that is, I believe, January 6th through the 26th is where that $10 off goes, or 10% off of their welcome packs. But those enrollment codes, do you guys remember if they said that those expire?
I was just going to ask that.
End of January. I think it was 26th or 30th or something.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
probably.
I think it was the 26th as well, I think.
Okay, so that's good to know. And then we talked about free shipping for $130 if you're for PV. That's for all ambassadors. And then I love when she said that it's not who you are, but it's about how you make other people believe they are. I love that. I think that stuck close to me, and it resonates with our team and our culture and what this business is really all about and how we make other people feel. One of the newest ambassadors that I know personally, like that, signed on to our team, she has Lyme disease and her name is Angie, and you guys made her feel so welcome, so thank you. But she reached out and said words that you forget. She just said, "I need you." And so I kind of took that really close to heart, because if you think about that in your mind and put that at the forefront, rather than thinking you're bothering people with reaching out, rather than thinking that you're going to annoy them, just think that they need you. They might just not know it yet. They might not be able to verbalize it or even think about that part yet, but people need us. And once they know that they need us, then it's up to us to make them feel and believe that they can feel the best that they can. Practicing empathy, meeting people where they are, assuming the best in people. And then being accountable. You know, if you don't have a power partner, I mean, we're all accountability partners for each other, but it's so important to grab that one person that you can say, like, keep me accountable, be my power partner. Let's show up together. Let's challenge each other let's set up a challenge on this date. And by the end of the month, let's meet back up and see where we're at. If you have that person, not only are you staying accountable for them, but you're teaching your team, they're watching you, you're duplicating that down to them, saying that they need to go grab an accountability partner as well. And it's okay to have more than one, for sure. I mean, build up your list. I'm looking at my notes. Let's see. I liked when they said if you're looking at a compact mirror, turn it around, because you're not looking at yourself. You're looking at everybody else out there. And if you haven't watched the Jennifer Wolf mindset video, I think the mindset is super important because we stand in our own way. We get stuck with, getting the wind sucked out of our sails if somebody says no. But watch that mindset video on YouTube by Jennifer Wolf. It's a really, really good one if you haven't seen it yet. And then one last thing I have on my notes, and then I'll let you guys talk about your takeaways, is when Rosalind said, I always struggle. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I always struggle with, I know it's super important that we talked about leading with the business, leading with the opportunity. And I never know exactly how to just say it or how to bring it up. And Rosalind, when she was talking about an example it was a girl, a mom who wanted to put her daughter through private school. And the words that she used to start it out with that said, basically, she reached out to her and said, I know you've never asked me about this before, but I can guarantee Plexus can help send your daughter to private school. And I liked that. I know you've never asked me about this before, because you're owning it at the very beginning. You're letting them know that you're vulnerable, but you're also letting them know that you're putting this out there just because you know that you have so much belief that this could really help them with their situation. That's always a really good leeway into the leading with the opportunity. You guys have anything else that you took down that was important to you?
I really like their interest in everybody's why and talking to the emotional side of their why too. I mean, that's kind of the heart-centered recruiting that Tara and I did, had so much to do with finding the person's why and then talking to it. And, I think she used the example of the husband who was going to lose his job and, or that, was planning, there was a plan for the husband to lose his job, and how, she can help the family and support him by doing Plexus, but she said it in a way that was really heart-centered. And I think when you get to someone's emotion and really touch them, then they're going to take action. If you can get to their emotion, they're going to take action. I just thought that was awesome. And I'm glad that it's mirroring kind of what I've learned and done on some other avenues, so I thought that was really.
No, absolutely. That's a good point, Kay. I loved when Jennifer said that she has those what if this could change everything brochures, and she writes at the bottom, it did for me. Love Jennifer.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Just those little touches, those little things that you might not think about that might have somebody look at that and make it more real for them, rather than just like a catalog or a brochure. Like handwriting, it did for me. I think that was huge.
I also really loved the section about how to be a person of influence. I really loved the take on that. My notes on that were, it's not about being interesting, it's about being interested. Again, it's just reinforcing over and over and over again that, this is really not about us, you guys. This is about everyone else. And if we can take our fear and our pride and our, fear of being how it's going to look, and just say it's totally not about that, it's about everyone else, then our job becomes very simple. It's not easy, but it becomes very simple. And I love that they talked about helping people feel strong, capable, beautiful, empowered, just influencing without authority. I don't know, I love that whole section. That really spoke to me. yesterday. So I thought it was fabulous training.
I did too. I loved the fact that they, sometimes it's easy for us to take it personally if somebody shuts down their order or if they are, turn off their backup order or stop ordering. But when she said a white line is just a person uninspired, I mean, that's so true. And if you take that personal feeling, that personal touch out of it and think about that in that way, how can you re-inspire? What can you reignite in them? Or, and sometimes we can't. But sometimes we can. Sometimes those are the people that can come back and then can be your rock stars or have their own huge testimonial. So I really liked that. I thought that was really brilliant. And also when you have someone that says like, this is not working, and then you follow it up with like, well, maybe you really aren't ready for this yet, and then it kind of makes them think and rewind like, okay, maybe I wasn't drinking my water. Maybe I wasn't consistent. So it's just different ways to handle it rather than having like your own personal pity party, because we've all been there. Like a friend doesn't tell you, you look in their office and they're like white line. You're like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Rather than thinking, what did you do wrong? Think how you could reword it when you reach back out to them, because it is important to keep up that communication for sure. So enough on, do we have anything else for Super Saturday until we go into the systems manual? Because I'll share my screen and pull that up. And Ruth, if you want to kick that off, hold on one second.
Hey, Nicole, can I jump in there real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is not necessarily anything that was like from the corporate Super Saturday, but for us girls who did the St. Louis satellite with you, Justine and Sam.
Yeah.
I'll hold it up so everybody who wasn't there can see what we had. So Justine, a thing that we did with Justine, Rumbling with Criticism, was a huge thing for me yesterday. And it was this worksheet. And as you can see, there's not much on it. It says in the box, and you see how little that box is. Look at that. So it says, in the box below, write the names of people whose opinions really matter to you. And then it's this little bitty box. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need a way bigger box. I'm going to have to write really small. But then when I really focused on the word really in that sentence, it said, in the box below, write the names of people whose opinions really matter to you. It was like a light bulb moment went off for me. And I was like, you know what? Very few people really matter of what they think about my business when I really thought about it, which is a huge shift for me because I was one of those people who always thought, well, I don't want to be that pesky Plexus poster. I worried about what my friends thought, what my colleagues thought, what my family thought, everything. And to do that exercise and realize like, I don't have that many people I needed to put in that box. What mattered was my opinion of myself mattered to me, my parents, my siblings, my grandparents. Let me see who else I wrote. My step parents. That was it. I had like those 5 people. And then Justine had a good point too, to put your higher power in that box. So I added that. But so for me, that was a good takeaway too, just an exercise I did locally, because it was like, that's a good reminder when fear starts to creep in, kind of like what you touched on with your friend with Lyme disease. She needs us. Mm-hmm. So how dare us to like disqualify her or to have fear or to be like, come up with all these different reasons not to contact her. Mm-hmm. So that's all I wanted to share.
Yeah. No, I love that, Stephanie. There was so many people where Justine said, okay, look at your box. She's like, how many people have your own name in that box? And I think only like 2 people raised their hand. And it didn't even make yourself think about it like, oh my God, I have to put my name in that box because I care about, like you were supposed to care about your own feelings and your own opinion. But that was a really good exercise. I think it's one that Brene Brown does as well. And that's that's where
she got it from. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was the 3rd person like in the box. I had myself 3rd on the list, luckily, but I never thought to put my higher power on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is a good reminder. Just like really ask yourself, who does it really matter of what, and it is really small. It should be really small of who thinks anything about us.
Yeah. No, thank you, Steph, for sharing. I thought that was a great exercise. Okay. I am going to share my screen. You guys all see that? Okay, perfect. Ruth, you want to kick this off?
Yes. Okay. So we really wanted to just have a place where we could all come and just know that we all have all these things floating around in our head when a new ambassador signs up. We have in our minds what we need to do to kind of check them in. But to have an actual list, I think, is very powerful for us, because it is not only going to give us the security of knowing we're doing it right, but it's going to streamline our team and really tighten things up. So we are just turnkey. And that when we're adding new people, that they're getting the exact same coaching and training that we're doing ourselves, and across the board on all the legs of Nicole's team, we're all doing the same thing. And I just think that's going to create a real cohesion for us and a lot of power and the momentum this year. So we kind of wanted to break this down into, here's your daily activity. Here you have a potential that's interested in becoming a customer, a potential interested in becoming an ambassador. We tried to have different, categories of things and logically go through the process of how each of us goes. We start with activity, we move into, this. So that's kind of was our mindset. I want you guys, as you're looking at this, to take notes. If there is something that you feel we've forgotten, like Nicole said, this is a working document. So I want to make sure that this is as detailed as possible, not to an overwhelming degree, but something that we can all say, this is really pretty perfect as to what it's hitting all the marks. So we started out with our activity. So finding your why and revisiting the importance. That why changes, we know that. But really, every quarter maybe checking in and saying, is that still holding true? Is that still my why? Or is it evolving? Creating or refreshing your Frank's list, your memory jogger, your dream team list. I think the 64 list is awesome. That was so easy for me to compartmentalize and say, these people need the business, these people need the products, these people, I love that. So I think that's a really, really good thing. Like I've said before, I've been resistant to the Frank's list for whatever reason. And this, I did not feel like I had a block with. So for me, that was a real, I think that the list is very, very important. And I don't want us to be afraid of that. I think that's where the power comes from and the direction of our daily activities. So your IPA sheets, print out a copy for every day of the month, or save it electronically. So I've gone through and I've printed out 30 of the new daily IPA sheets and put them in a notebook. So I'm going to be able to go back at the end of January and say, wow, okay, I missed a day here, I missed a day there. And also see how productive I've been. We were talking about that yesterday, is that it will be really powerful to be able to go back and say, wow, look what I did. I mean, there are times when you feel like you've done a lot, but it's really nice to be able to see it in something tangible. So completing your IPA sheet each day and your reach outs before posting anything on social media for the day, and turning off notifications. Guys, these are what Nicole and I are kind of calling our safeguards. For me, it's very hard. If I open that homepage in Facebook, I have a really hard time getting back on track. So a safeguard that I've put up for myself is that I have to do the thing. On our team, we call that eating the frog. So we got to eat the frog first to get our reach outs done, because that is what is very difficult for me. So if I can get my outreach done very first thing, then I can move on to all the other things that for me seem easy, or, I can post throughout the day. I can answer messages as they come in, blah, 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 blah. But the outreach for me is very difficult. So I think that it's a smart thing to be able to say, okay, self-discipline. I am not going to open my home screen on Facebook. I'm not going to go to my messages to answer anything. I'm not going to scroll any groups or do anything until I have done my outreach. Then you can move on. Another thing that I have just done, and I'm still a little bit terrified of it, but I turned off all my notifications. So I'm not getting pings, buzzes, alerts when I get a message on Facebook, an email, or any other messages like that. So I have control over when I'm going to work. And I'm trying to be one of my New Year's resolutions is to stick to my hours. When I say I'm going to be working, then I'm going to be checking those things. I'm in control of going in and checking my messages. It's not ruling me. I have a hard time not being distracted when I'm with my kids. If I know there's a message sitting there, if I've heard an alarm or a bell, then I'm like, woo, somebody might want Plexus. And it's really hard for me to like not open it up and do it right then. So I'm trying to make that better. So that's what we're doing with those safeguards there. Reaching out. We talk about leading with the business, and I think it's very, very smart. Lead with the business 100% of the time, fall back on the products, and then ask for referrals. That should be the chain of the messages that you're doing. I think it gives you the most opportunity to have them say yes. Dream Teamers message, we've given a sample.
Yeah,
We've
I was
given.
going to say real quick.
Yeah.
When you guys say see attached, that is going to come in a second document. We have it ready. We're building it. But when you see see attached, know that when this final thing comes out to you on Tuesday, we're going to have the attachments all in there. So sorry, go ahead, Ruth.
There'll be sample messages, which I think is tweak it, make it your own, and you're good to go. But an acquaintance message sample, cultivating the relationship, maybe not mentioning Plexus yet. And then ideas, sending a sample, promoting the monthly 7-day challenge group that's going on, a three-way message with your sponsor and the potential. Those are all examples of things that you can, as a reason to reach out. In Kansas City, we also have a monthly power hour happy hour that they're doing. So anything like that, local events or opportunity events that we're doing online as a team, things like that. Those are your reasons to reach out. So, and then setting business hours. I think we've talked about that. So I'll let you kind of take the next section.
Sure. So then I know that a lot of us struggle like, oh my gosh, especially if we're newer or if it's been a while, somebody says, okay, tell me more. What's this information? Like, what do I do? Now what? So this is where you would want to loop the sponsor in a three-way message. And so, we can come up with sample verbiage, but basically you don't want it to be like, feel like they're being pounced on or feel like they're being attacked right away. Like, it's kind of a very casual conversation. We have an email message that we'll send to you. Like if somebody that says like, okay, I'm interested, send me more information. You don't want to throw up Plexus on them, but you want to give them enough information to where they're intrigued. I personally never send the pricing sheet in my first initial contact because I remember what I was like when I first saw that pricing come up. I was like, nope, not happening. Like that's crazy, But what I do is I have a couple of sentences about what it's broken down per day. And that's a little bit less scary. It's a little bit more doable. And then that kind of keeps the conversation going because then they want to know how much it costs. And then, eventually I will send. So we'll give you some sample messages on how to do that without overwhelming them. Or if you find that people will come up and like that'll be their first objection with the cost. Because these messages kind of that we have samples for kind of alleviate and eliminate some of those objections right up the front so that they won't come back with those. So again, if needed, loop the sponsor in a three-way message. If you're newer, if you're not comfortable yet, like whoever your sponsor is, we're all here and happy to help kind of take that and help train. Because every message that we respond to or that you loop somebody in, it's a training for you also. And it's going to help that person who joins or who orders. If they decide that they want to start working the business too, they're going to remember how it was for them and they're going to duplicate that down. This is a huge one. And I think it's super important. And this has worked definitely a lot for me. If you phone your potential, don't just send somebody your website because it can be completely overwhelming. You can send them your site, but you can also say, hey, I'm going to call, can I call you at noon? Can I call you at noon? Can I call you tonight? I would love to help you walk through it. Or I would love to take your information. I'll manually place the order or manually help you join and I'll send you the information to help so you can manage it for the future, information. So it is extra work, but it is worth it because the last thing that you want, our system is getting better. It's people orders are going through, people are joining. They're not really getting stuck like they used to, but you can run into the problem if somebody says like, oh, okay, yeah, this is awesome. I'm going to order. Well, it might be 2 weeks and then they haven't, and then they forget about it or they just get too busy or they change their mind. And we're not trying to push them, but we want to help them. If they're ready, they are ready. And you want to walk them through this process or take their information manually for them. And that will help kind of in the long run too. If you set their order up manually for them, you kind of know their user ID and password. So if they do ever have a problem, you can kind of, help them. Now, I have learned the hard way. Like I have managed a lot of different accounts for a lot of friends, and that can bite you, especially when it comes with a new system change. It's like, it was crazy. But for few, if you want to take their passwords down, user IDs, it can't hurt you. It can help you, manage things in the future. But definitely I would recommend phoning them. You also want to talk to them on the phone anyway, because you want them to hear your voice. You want to help recommend what regimen they want. And it's just more about, helping guide them through. You're their coach. They're the reason that they're starting this. And so you want to definitely have them hear your voice. So that's huge on phoning the potentials. And then follow up and communication after that. If somebody orders as a customer, follow up with them 1 time a week for the first month for sure. You want to make sure you educate them on detox or die-off. You want to make sure that they're going to be hearing from you and that you care. How are they doing their water? Are they being consistent? After the first month, then, you can drip on them, follow up with them once a month, or if you want to do more, that's great too. Send them instructions on how to take the products. These are in Plexus Power Tools. There's every document now with each product has information on how to take the products, but you also kind of want to put it out there for them. People are going to be overwhelmed in the beginning. They're not going to read everything. So make sure that you're sending them instructions on how to take the products. What Ruth does, and I think it's awesome, is, sometimes they get all this lump sum in an email and they get overwhelmed. She sends the Triplex 30-day calendar to them in a Facebook message so that it's kind of separate. And she also sends the Brooke Hemingway's video, what to expect when you first start on your products. That goes separate into a Facebook message. So that's kind of separate. That's really important, and they're going to see that right up front. Send them information on detox. We have a really good, helpful attachment that will definitely provide to you if you haven't seen it before, but information on detox. And then again, send them Brooke Hemingway's video, which it's pinned on our post in our big team page. But if you haven't watched it yourself, it's a really, really good one. And it's just easing them into it. And then we have a customer Facebook page. I'm pretty sure you guys are all aware of that, but that Facebook page is called Live Your Best Life, the Plexus Way. I believe you guys are all on there. We have over like 560 people in that page. So that's pretty exciting. It means that we're growing and people are adding their customers. But if a person's doing your 7-day challenge, add them to the Live Your Best Life page. It's awesome. And they can always remove themselves if they don't want to afterwards, if they don't continue on. But add every customer that you have to that Live Your Best Life page. And then any customized Facebook group, based on what their needs are. Like my friend Angie that just joined with Lyme disease, I added her to, it's called the Plexus and Tick-Borne Illness page. So that's really helpful for her. There's a thyroid support group page. If you have any questions on what these customized Facebook groups, sometimes their names change, the titles change because they move from trying to be compliant. So like it used to be Plexus and Lyme disease, now it's Plexus and Tick-Borne Illness. So it causes a little bit of search, but if you go to Facebook and type in like Plexus and thyroid, most likely that page will pop up even if you're not a member of it, and you can join. But I would definitely recommend adding your customers to that. And rather than, I always take the approach where I don't ask, I just let them know what I'm doing. Hey, I'm going to add you to this private. I always say private because, it's really important to keep their information confidential. But I let them know this is a private page. There's a magnifying glass. Feel free to type any keywords in to find different testimonials, information, different things of that sort, so that they can really better relate. Because it's the customers, like what they said at Super Saturday, it's so true. They can turn into the best ambassadors because they have that trust. They've built that belief. So that's really just kind of the way, for customers, it's really easy to have somebody order and then all of a sudden we don't talk to them. And all of a sudden it's like 3 months down the road and you're like, I wonder why they stopped. Well, they could have stopped because they were going through detox or because they felt like they weren't, they felt like they were alone, so having them in that group, in that community, we try to not overwhelm with posts in that group, but put helpful information in that page. You guys have anything else on that section? Move down. Ruthie, you want to do the next one?
Sure.
Okay.
Are we at the
your potential is interested in joining as an ambassador?
Oh, I'd already done all this. Okay. I think this stuff is pretty straightforward, but making sure that you send the potential email with more information, loop us into a 3-way message. Then walk them? Didn't you just talk about this?
Yeah, I separated it from customer to ambassador. So it's like if that first section was customer, and this section is an ambassador.
Okay, so very similar.
Yeah.
Almost identical. And then your first to-dos when you get a new ambassador, make sure that you start a three-way message with your new ambassador and your sponsor. We have an example of that, just introducing them. Your sponsor will then send their welcome video, which we have a new welcome video since the welcome kits have changed. We have a script for that we, I believe, have we shared that yet?
Not yet, but we'll put that in the manual as well. Yeah, this welcome video that we have, Ruth found it. She's on Jacqueline Stanley's Facebook page, and Jacqueline had revamped their welcome video, and it's pretty amazing. It's shorter, it's to the point, but the homework for everyone, I would love to give it to you by like next Sunday, is to the script. You can pull this script up on your computer, set your phone up, make it look like you're not reading, but record this welcome video so that when your team starts growing, you start exploding, when your team starts signing on their level ones, you're going to have this to send right on to them. No questions asked.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's great. One of the things that Emily Fennell does is she tries to keep her welcome videos to 5 minutes, which I think this one is 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just adjust it a little bit, but like she'll send a reminder when they have a call scheduled. She'll message about 15 minutes ahead of time and say, hey, I'm so excited for our call. Have you had a chance to watch the welcome video yet? And, if they say, no, I've been super busy, I didn't have a chance, she'll be like, okay, well, how about we push our call back by 10 minutes just so you have time to watch the welcome video. She's like, I don't get onto a call until I have confirmation that they have watched that video. And I think it's really smart. So I like that approach, and I like that, everybody, again, is getting started off on that consistent and that same foot. So the three-way message, sending the welcome video, and then selecting a date and time to do the actual phone call. And that's when they need to have watched that video by. Following up, again, once a week for the first month. And then after that, once a month, unless there are other issues that they need help with. Send them instructions on how to take the products, send them information on detox, send them Brooke Hemingway's video to expect. Again, I pull out the regimen or the taper schedule for triplex, and also that Brooke Hemingway video, and I say, I sent you all this information in an email, but these are really the two most important things I want to make sure you watch right away. The emails are there for, how to work your back office and put in orders, and how to take your products with more detail. But these are the most important things. Then we'll send them the new ambassador checklist, the rank up roadmap to silver, and information or YouTube to the new back office. So it'll be just getting them set up. This is whether they are going to work a business or not. They will have the information if they ever choose to change their mind and build a business. And then you'll add the ambassador to the following pages: your own personal page, Nicole's Pink Power Team. Those team names may be changing soon. We've been kind of talking about that. The leaders page, if they're going to be a business builder and you know that right away. Plexus Journeys, the ambassador only testimony page. Live Your Best Life, the Plexus Way for team's customer group. And then any customized Facebook groups like Nicole was talking about, if they have something specific they're dealing with, thyroid or, type 2 diabetes or something like that. Setting up your new ambassadors for success. Encourage them all to make their first Facebook post. Now, I did that the first time with one of my new ambassadors last month, and I said, hey, I encourage all my new ambassadors to make this post. And I said, feel free to tweak it, or you can copy and paste it just as it is, but take a selfie with your pink drink. And she did it, and it generated some interest, and it was it felt really good to start her off that way. Whether she ever decides to sell or not, she let the world know she was taking Plexus and invited people to join her. And I just think that is a really, really brilliant way to set people up. Encourage them to set up a Plexus Q&A event, which we have Sarah Brinkley to thank for that. She did an amazing job kind of piloting that for us. And they've been really, really successful for people. So I encourage you to do that. One thing I may add to that is, doing a launch event. I think that those in-person launch events are really powerful, and it kind of sets someone up with a handful of customers or ambassadors right away from a live event if they want to do that. We had a real good success with Brooke when we did that for her about a year ago. Inviting them to join our Sunday night team calls. They're always at 8:30 Central Time, so make them feel welcome on that and help walk them through Zoom, how to get registered, how to log on, the fact that there are different sign-in details for each meeting, just those little things that we all know now, helpful for a new ambassador to know and to get brought into the fold as quickly as possible so they feel included. And then asking them to subscribe to the new ambassador training series on YouTube. Okay, so moving right along. Nicole, you want to take the next section?
Yep, I was just going to say one thing on the other one about encouraging them to make their first Facebook post. I love what, how Jennifer put it yesterday on Super Saturday, like, hey, if I were to send you something, would you post it? And she has like the 2 sentences, already written out. I think that's, if they're ready to do that, or even if they're not ready, they might be, since it's already written, they don't have to do any work. They might do that and generate that. So that's always good to, as a side note, to do. And then if you don't have your own personal team page to add them to your uplines team page. If you don't have your own team page yet. So that's just one of the things. And then just below the notes on who to follow on YouTube to subscribe to. These are just recommendations. If you guys have anybody else that you personally follow, that you've subscribed to, let us know. We'll add them here. These are just some of the names that we feel like have been pretty powerful, that have really good videos out there on products, on self-development, on Earn While You Learn. Like, that's one of my favorite ones by Melissa Eichenhorst. But if you have anybody else that you watch that we haven't discovered, I mean, there's 100 diamonds. So I'm sure there's a lot more people out there that we might not even know yet. So, and then personal development helpful books. These are, again, just own personal opinions on books. If you've read one that you love, that Ruth had mentioned one earlier today, Get Out of Your Own, what is it?
Get Over Your Damn Self.
Yeah, we're going to add that one to the list. Anything that you've read. But these are just kind of starting points as far as if somebody's like, what should I, you say to read, or read 5 pages a night, like which books to read. So these are just some of the ones that we thought were helpful to add here. But this is just kind of an overview of, I mean, some of this stuff you guys already know and do, but this is also some information, in case you don't, in case you do get stuck and feel like, oh my gosh, how often am I supposed to be talking to someone, or what should I send them? We're going to have all of that information for you as an attachment, and feel free to use what you want. Feel free to duplicate down when you do have that business builder. But it's always good to, in one of the emails that I send to someone, I'll say something like, I know that you joined for wholesale pricing, but if you're ever interested in getting your products paid for, please let me know. Never any